Yo, welcome to episode 21 of the Put On Podcast. I'm Cal. I'm here with my co-host, Derek. Derek, how are you today?
Doing good, man. What's going on with you? This is very exciting. Episode 21,
Yeah,
right?
you know what that means, right? So, yeah, we probably put out a clip a while ago, but episode 21 means that we are now in the top 1% of podcasters. So only 1% of podcasters hit 21 episodes. I was just trying to figure it out before. I think we've been doing this since December 2022. So about a year and a half. And yeah, man, I mean, I feel like that's a decent time for 21 episodes. But either way, we've moved slow, we've moved quick, we ebb and flow. But 21, it feels kind of fucking cool to say that we're in the top 1% of podcasters now.
21, 21, 21. I honestly, I think that it is cool. I think it's an accomplishment. Obviously, this podcast has made us rich beyond our wildest dreams.
I could have never imagined. Yeah.
No, but to your point, like there have been times where it's been slow. There have been times where we've kind of gotten some momentum. I think we've learned a lot, and excited to just keep going. Right. I mean, I think that's the whole point of when we first started. I just remember it's like we are going to do this thing. We're going to learn along the way. We're going to try and get better, and I think we have
Yeah.
to some extent. And then there's other things where maybe we're still very much in the early stages of this and learning.
I think today will be a good pod because we will get to do something a little bit different from a interview style standpoint. But with that being said, just quick, I guess it doesn't have to be quick. Life assessment. Where are you at right now? What's happening in your world?
What's happening in my world? I just candidly, I have been going through a lot of job stuff and searching for a new job. I've it's been one of the biggest transition points of my entire life. Now I understand the whole really deeply understand the whole idea around having a midlife crisis because um, I wouldn't say like I'm going through a full blown midlife crisis, but I'm definitely going through something that's very challenging in my life, in my career.
When you say
Um,
midlife crisis, what does that mean to you? To some people, it means buy a fucking expensive car, or for you, what is a midlife crisis?
you know what? That's true. It's I'm not having the traditional like should I go out and buy a Porsche? I'm having like a midlife crisis in the sense of trying to figure out my next career move. Um, Definitely, finances are a little bit tighter than usual because of it, and and those types of things affect your life, your relationships. It all trickles down. So, it's crazy. Like going through a job search process to me is pretty much one of the worst things that anybody experiences in life.
Do you think
It's definitely there.
Do you think that's the case for everyone in the sense that someone like me who's, 23, I don't have kids, I can, I don't have many responsibilities compared to what you would
Mhm.
have. Are you saying that it's the worst thing that someone in your, with kids in your realm could go, or just in general, like when you were younger too?
I think when I say that I mean specifically just in regards to myself, and I know a lot of people feel the same way, but like I guess there are certain things that go along with it that me, Derek, it makes my skin crawl, like the networking part of it, the asking for favors and introductions, right? Like applying for jobs, which has turned out to be like, you know, it's to me, it's such a broken process and it's torture. And then I'm the proverbial square peg. So like, if my resume comes across your desk or your email, you're like, I don't understand, what this is. And
Yeah,
it's
sure.
very eclectic. I have an eclectic background and it's like it needs some context. I need to be able to explain it to you. And so I guess it's really challenging. I think for I'm right now, like sometimes I'll go down the TikTok rabbit hole, and like even like my algorithm right now is showing me like a lot of like, content that kind of focuses on job search, some unemployment stuff, some resume stuff, some all of these different things. And again, maybe it's just my algorithm, but it feels like there are so many people out there right now that are going through a similar
Yeah,
thing to me and that are
definitely.
experiencing these same frustrations and anxiety. And there's a big part of it where it's just like, you're doing a lot of I feel like I'm working like just as much as like, I've done in the past. And I'm doing a little bit of consulting that's, keeping my head above water. But there's also those periods of time where you're just like, what do I do now? And like, where I'm walking outside for an hour and just like pondering life. And it's, you know, it's mentally draining, and it's life, and
Are
yeah,
you
that's where I'm at. I told you this the other day. It's like I do feel like I'll look back and be like, I survived this thing, and I came out better for it. But when you're in it, it's tough.
are you any further than you were, when you first experienced the layoff, or is it just kind of just because the job market's so tough right now, it's kind of everything's just going in circles?
Definitely further, because I've picked up some consulting work, and I've definitely spoken to what feels like a ton of people. So, I feel like I've put myself out there. I feel like, I've had conversations that have progressed. I think there are some things that are kind of like simmering, and so of these different potential paths and options. I will say this, like, and I think I might have told you this before, but the idea of something that I always get hung up on is just the idea of like, maybe I'm gonna try and get into this, organization or apply for this
Right.
job. And a lot of times I just feel like I don't know who I'm talking to. I might try an interview and want to get a job, but like until I'm there,
You don't know. Yeah.
I don't I have no idea who I'm getting in bed with. I have no idea like if I'm going to really like the people,
And
and that
that's so
part of
tough
like the unknown. Yeah, it just feels like I don't know.
because
It's to me there's something weird about it,
you go, like, you spend all this time looking, and then you finally, find a gig that interests you, but to your point, you go, you don't know what it's fully like until you're there for a few months. And let's say you hate it, or it's not working out after a few months, you then just restart the exact process that you just went through for however many months, and you're at square one again. So yeah, I can only imagine how
Exactly.
tough it is for everyone going through that. And the job market is obviously, from everything I'm hearing, shit right now, across North America and just in the world in general. So, yeah, being back at square one would suck. Um,
Yeah, you have to take a leap of faith. You have to really trust your instincts, and I guess you have to be of the mindset where if you do get into a situation and it ultimately isn't the thing that you hoped it would be, you know what? You just have to kind of like take it on the chin and move forward. So career wise, that's what I'm dealing with. Personally, I've been having a lot of like issues with my kids. My kids have been really not well behaved lately, especially my oldest, and
Remind me,
just
how
like
old are they?
he's been getting 9 and 6. Um, and yeah, it's like it's funny because he is going through definitely a phase, a rebellious phase, where he lies sometimes. He's a little bit like cautious. Other times he's not nice to his little brother. We don't trust him. It's like a whole thing, and it's driving me and my wife a little bit crazy, and then it brings out the worst in us sometimes. So like we had to have like a family chat
Yeah.
yesterday, and
Oh shit,
that's just funny being in that position and feeling like a kid myself, and but trying to be like the disciplinarian.
man! I remember. Yeah, I remember anytime my mom called a family meeting, it was fucking game over. So yeah, I can only imagine the family chat. But the kids are healthy. They're in sport. They're in school. Like aside from I feel like that's just a phase in that age, being a 9-year-old boy. But aside from that, doing well.
All things considered, everybody's healthy for the most part, happy. And yeah, if you have like perspective about the situation, yeah, it's all relative, but everything is okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. That's again not close to going through the whole kids thing. We'll want to have kids one day, but yeah, just like being a nine, remembering the days of being a 9-year-old boy. Yeah, if you're a little shit, you're a little shit. That's what it is.
You're right, exactly. And by the way, I was a little shit when I was,
Yeah. So
that age too. So it's
the
like
apple
not
doesn't fall
all
far
that
from the
fresh.
tree. Yeah.
Exactly. So chip off the old block. What about you, man? Where are you at in life and everything?
Yeah. I'm gonna be moving to New York in September, for a little bit. I still
Let's
can't be in the
go.
States for more than 6 months just due to visas and stuff, which is ridiculous. But yeah, I'll be in New York full time. So that's a big update. I would say, professionally, just keep chugging along. I'm still at Vayner Sports. It's been like 2.5 years now, and to think that I've been in a professional career for 2.5 years seems short and long. Like I feel like I'm
Mhm.
got a lot of experience and learned a fuck ton and can bring a lot of value to wherever the next role or company or thing is, like whether that's still in Vayner Sports or somewhere else. We talk a lot. I'm very entrepreneurial, and I love the idea of being able to do my own thing. And so just kind of like the building blocks every day of what am I doing to take a step towards that? And so, yeah, I'm feeling like, again, it depends on the week. Some weeks I'm like, fucking rights, momentum's here. Some weeks I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't do shit. And so it's like, but that's the mind. It's lonely. I mean, it's being, ambitious and wanting to achieve success is a lonely game when you're not, when you're all alone from like a mental standpoint, just trying to figure it all out. So yeah, it's a mental battle, but that's it's all good on my end, going well personally. Lots of travel. I'm going to Thailand
Mhm.
this summer with Jules for 3 weeks.
Nice.
I haven't been back to Thailand in a long time. That's where I was born, so looking forward to that trip.
Do you have a Thai passport?
No, I don't, man. It's one of those things where your parents need to be Thai to pass that on to you. So unfortunately, my parents are Canadian. So my passport is weird. It says on it, it essentially says alien on my passport because I had no connection to Canada. I was born in Thailand. I lived overseas for like, 13 years. When I came back to Canada, my citizenship is like second class, call it, where I can't pass on like my parents passed on their Canadian citizenship to me. I can't pass it on to my kids. So the only way my kids can be Canadian is if my wife is Canadian. Um, so yeah, I'm not tied,
Got
but
it.
yeah, man. Personally, professionally, things are good. I think it's all about balance. I think we talked about it. I think on the first episode is how do you balance everything, and I would say from 2022 in December to where I'm at now, I feel like I'm in a really good mental place. And so I'm happy with life and how everything is going today. Um,
That's great. Great. It's you were talking about how you've been at the job for 2.5 years, and it really goes by so fast, and when I think back to like my 20s, I it's hard for me to even remember. Like I remember being in it and thinking like I've been in my 20s forever, but like it's such a blip, and I'm always envious of you just being in your 20s because again, once you get past that and you're in your 30s and now I'm approaching my 40s, you look back to your 20s and like this is like, kind of wisdom that I would impart on you except for the fact that I feel like you already know it, but it's like the 20s are like when you can really just take a lot of
Yes.
chances and just get exposed to so many different things and kind of really learn like a lot about yourself, right? And what you like, what you don't like, what you feel comfortable with in every kind of aspect in your relationship, in your career, and just all of your different kind of preferences. So, you know, I'm glad that you're at a great place in your life. I remember when I was in my 20s, and I think I even mentioned this in the very first episode. Like, I was fucking lost. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like you're way ahead of the game in that way. I'm just gonna clear my camera real quick because just to make sure. And yeah, so I mean, sounds good. You wanna jump into some
yeah,
questions?
yeah. So we're going with a little bit different of a format here. Derek and I are going to go back and forth with questions that we've curated that we think will bring value to us, back and forth, but also ideally you, the listener, the
And
millions of
just
people.
and give the context too that like we don't know, we both came up with questions on our own that we haven't shared with each other. So we're
Yeah,
gonna kind of surprise
very
ourselves with the
authentic.
questions and put each other on the spot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there could be a couple seconds of thinking. Again, we didn't come pre-prepped. This is gonna how the interviews will go with guests and stuff going forward. So I can start us off. I can go first and then we'll just go kind of back and forth. Um
Yeah, let's do it.
my first question to you is, give me the most eye-opening book you've ever read. Think of something that's forever changed your perspective, that still stays with you today. What would that book be? The first one that comes to mind.
Wow, the most eye-opening book. I am gonna have complete recency
Sure.
bias right here, okay? Because I'm pretty much finished with a book by this guy Robert Greene called 48 Laws of Power.
Okay.
And I've talked about Robert Greene before because I put people onto like a different book. And like when you get authors where all of a sudden you're like, okay, now I want to kind of like read the full catalog. I'm actually started on his next book, which is all about like seduction, which is like
Okay.
kind of funny.
Interesting. Yeah.
Um, but 48 Laws of Power to me it has been the most eye-opening, just like top of mind right now. If I really thought back, maybe there'd be some sort of different answer. And the reason why is because it's okay. So it's this book that's literally about like how you how how you manipulate people in a way, right? And like it's kind of like persuasion, but it's really there's like a kind of like a nefarious element to it where it is about how you get the things that you want out of people through manipulation. And honestly, like if once you kind of read more about Robert Greene and you learn about him, what the takeaway from the book is actually you read this book and it's to learn how not to be manipulated. And you learn how people use their power in different ways
Do
to
you
influence.
do you learn about how like consumer brands do the same?
No, because really the way that he's done it is he uses historical examples and it's really not so much modern. It's more so about like, he looks back at like kings and emperors and
Okay.
all of these really famous people, powerful people throughout history. And so it's like here's a law and then here's an observance of the law. And
That's
so then
interesting.
he'll tell a story about, and then and there's all of these little kind of like footnotes and it's super super interesting, but it's like there'll be like laws where it's like um you know you know have somebody else do all the work and then take all the credit for it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's like, oh shit, like that's kind of like that's not really the most ethical
No.
thing, right? But then he'll show like the historical example and then you'll learn something in the process of like, okay, I never want to be the sucker that like gets put in that position, right? And there's some that aren't as like again like as nefarious as those, but it's just really fascinating, really interesting. And so to me, I would say that's been the most eye-opening book. And again, the recency bias of me like reading it right now, I think that's my answer for you.
That's a big shout to Robert Greene because that's a loaded question. The most eye opening book you've ever read. Okay, so that is your book. Say it one more time. Robert Greene.
48 Laws of Power. And the last thing I'll say about it is apparently this guy Robert Greene like was a nobody until he wrote this book, and then this book caught on very randomly um with the hip hop community, because in the music business is so ruthless
Yeah.
that some of the executives like read it, and some of the rappers read it, and they realized like, holy shit, like
What's
this
going
is
on?
exactly like what's going on. This is like
Yeah, yeah.
how people get taken advantage of. And so like it caught on with all of these rappers, and then ultimately 50 Cent ended up writing like he ended up collabing with 50 Cent on like a new version of 48 Laws of Power with 50
That's
Cent.
dope.
So
Shit.
yeah, it's very funny in that, and it's interesting in that way. All right, I'm gonna go to my first question, and it's a little bit different. What would you say is the most unexpected thing you've learned about yourself in the past year?
That's a good one. Most unexpected thing I've learned about myself in the past year.
Yeah.
So we're in May, since last May. I think I think the most unexpected thing I learned about myself specifically in the past year is I used to have this perception in my mind and hadn't experienced it enough probably, but where I always just wanted to be on the go. Like
Hmm.
traveling for work, traveling personally, seeing as many people as I could, doing all these things like go, go, go. And the thing that I learned about myself in the last year is how much I just love and value fucking my own time and being, you know, just chilling, like just legit,
Right.
like but it's like, I feel like I learned that I'm more of an old soul in that sense. I can, I can hang and I can, be out all week, every week, but that's not me, man. I'd rather, maybe one night a week see people, but I like, being at home and being in my own thoughts and spending time with family and the people I love, but I don't need to be on the go, which is all the time, which is kind of what I thought. So, yeah, I'd say the most unexpected thing was that I have more of an older soul and like to, hang out and just be present.
Like for being somebody that loves travel, it turns out you're a homebody, a little bit of a homebody, right?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. Um, which,
Well,
yeah,
I could relate to that.
I never would have
I
thought.
mean, that's 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 interesting. That's surprising. I didn't think that that's something that you would have said. So
Yeah, I think it goes back to like, I don't necessarily equate home to a place because I've moved around so much that it's like there's not Edmonton is home now, but it's not
mhm.
home long term. Like I'll come to New York. I'd like to set up shop somewhere else after that. I think, man, like to me, home is just about having a space that you feel, comfortable in. And so right now the space is this apartment here in Edmonton that when I'm on the go and when I'm traveling, I get to come back here and spend time with the people I love and relax. But like the space could be anywhere. That's not the thing. It's just like, yeah, I like having a space that I feel completely comfortable in, that is my own, that is my sanctuary, which I didn't think that that would be the case in the past.
Well, don't you think a big part of the fact that maybe you don't like going out as much, or like that you could chill more, is the fact that you're in a relationship now, like a steady relationship?
Maybe, yeah, probably. Yeah,
By the way, that just dawned on me. Like you said that, I didn't even think about it, and then I'm like, wait a second.
yeah, yeah. I would say, yeah, as a young guy, yeah, I would say that's a good point. I think, yeah, it's just one of those things where like, I have more to come home to now, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
before I'm coming
Yeah.
home to myself. Now, there's people to come home to. So yeah, that's probably the case. That's a good observation. Um
Okay.
I okay, let me get to my second question for you. My next question is put me on to an experience you've had that like others must have in their lifetime. So something you've experienced, could be anything, that like other people have to have once in their life.
Okay. That's a, that's a good question. An experience that I've had that people that
Should
everyone
have at
must
least
have
once.
in their life.
And you told
Okay,
me to bring the
I'm gonna
heat.
go.
You said no bullshit.
What?
You told me to bring the heat on the questions. I had to
I
bring the
love that question. I love that question. That's a great question. I actually just thought of something.
okay.
Um, so when I was in college, I studied abroad in Australia, in Sydney, and I got an apartment on the beach. And I feel like everybody in their life, if they have the means to do it, should live on the beach for a certain amount of time, like
I like
right, like overlooking the beach, whatever, like near the
oh
beach, because it was it was definitely one of the best times of my entire life. I mean, I did meet my wife there, and she lived in the same building coincidentally, and
that's crazy.
so I fell in love there, and I just look back on that time so fondly and nostalgically. But just the idea, like we would wake up in the morning, I lived with a couple of my best friends, and eat some breakfast, smoke a joint, go down to the beach,
Yeah.
chill on the beach, go play pool afterwards, like nearby, like that whole vibe.
Yeah, yeah.
I miss it, and I don't think it's like an all the time thing,
Sure.
but like it just it was so good for the soul. It was such a sweet thing. And I don't know, there's something about just the ocean and sand and just like the air
Oh, it's
around a beach where it's just you feel like you are at one with nature and the earth. And I loved it. I love the beach in general, so living on a beach, I would say, or by the beach is something that everybody should experience.
I didn't think you were gonna go that route. I love that. Yeah, I think that's a good one. We should clip that and
What route did you think I was going to go out of curiosity?
more so something like you need to go to Tomorrowland, or more so like an actual you have to go to the Knicks fucking and when the NBA like something I don't know, but something like
I'm
more
just telling you, I'm going to think of something like I'm going to think of 10 things after this pod where I'm like, oh, I should have fucking said that, but that was for whatever reason, that was the first thing that came to
no,
came
it's
to
a
mind.
really good one, and I would honestly lean that way too, and agree with you 100%. Just quickly because it came to mind, yo, if and then ask me after, but if the Knicks made the NBA Finals and it was a Game 7 at home, hypothetically, how much would you drop on tickets? What would your max price be?
The truth is, I don't need to be there. Like it's that's happened to me later in life because I used to go to all the big sporting events where my teams were in it. But I went to a national championship game for Wisconsin where they lost to Duke, and it was so like deflating, and I was so upset. And I was in Indianapolis, which is like,
Been there, yeah.
I'm like Josh Hart. I'm not a big fan of the state of Indiana. Um, and just over time, it's just I'm not going to spend that amount of money to just go see one sporting event. I'd rather spend that amount of money to go on vacation with my family.
That's fair.
That's like the old, I guess, like washed answer.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I get
I
it.
could be just as happy watching the game at home with a bunch of friends.
I get it. I get it. That makes sense. Um, cool. Yeah. You go next.
Okay. Um, I'm gonna kind of like, we touched on this a little bit, but I'm just curious about this. You're obviously in a relationship, right? With Jules. And obviously in relationships, there are highs and lows. So I
Yeah.
want to talk about the lows and those times when maybe you get into an argument or a fight. Put us onto your approach to how you think about resolving your relationship conflicts.
Specifically in an intimate relationship, or could it be with family or friend? Or
With
you
No, with your significant other, with your spouse or your girlfriend, or your girlfriend, obviously, because I'm talking about you specifically.
yeah. How do I resolve? That's
What's
so.
your approach? What's your approach? Like, let me phrase it a different way. Like, okay, you just got into a big argument, right? The dust has like just settled.
Yeah.
How do you think about, like, what's your approach to kind of resolving things?
So I think communication in terms of exact like expressing exactly how you're feeling is where I come from. So I'll look to seek that out of her. Just like legit, I don't give a fuck what it is, just every single thing, how you're feeling, and then I will, me being me, logically figure out what I think makes sense and what I think doesn't. I mean, yo, I'm a very like zero bullshit guy for the most part. I'm not one to, hold grudges, drag things on. For the most part, we honestly don't argue much, and if it is, it's a little like, hey, like cut that shit out, or So it's
Mhm.
there's not a time that I can think of where it's like, you know, like what's going like I've never had to leave a situation. But yeah, I think the way I approach resolving something is airing everything out. Both of us just airing everything out, the good, the bad, the ugly, and then from there figuring out what it was that caused said argument, and then logically thinking about, hey, like, are both of us being fair in our reactions? Are we not? And if we're not, like, how can we best make the other person feel, good or better, and not make them feel like that again or like shit again. So yeah, I
That makes
think,
sense.
yeah, I think but it all comes down to airing everything out and just fucking communicating, and like, bro, I won't stand jumping around shit. I won't stand bullshit. Like, you know,
You like to just like confront it head on and like not let it fester, because sometimes that's unfortunately that, I wouldn't I wouldn't say like that's what I do, but sometimes like I shut down and sometimes I internalize things
and
and
that's
then it kind of comes to a head.
I mean, but that's a natural way to react. I think, lots of us do that.
Yeah,
We have she has a rule that no going to bed angry. So like,
angry.
and I think you and I might have talked about this before too, but like if there is some sort of disagreement or argument, we hash it all out before sleep. Like there's never waking up in the morning like I'm fucking, it's always hashed out before the end of the day. But I feel that that's it. Man, you you're really getting into the relationship stuff.
Well,
That's
by
a
the
good
way,
question.
I've had that. I think we've had that rule, me and Allie too. But like we've broken that rule
Yeah,
plenty of times
I
when
get
we've
it. I
gone to
mean,
sleep. I want to ask a follow up question, which is maybe a little bit more general, but like, how would you say your relationship has evolved since you first started dating?
yeah. I would say that's a good question too. It's evolved in the sense that she's outside right now and I can fucking hear her. That's why I'm like, uh, but I would just say the amount of time that we spent together over it's been more than a year now. And I remember doing the pod where we first talked about her, and yeah, just knowing as much as we do about each other's tendencies and how, we both like to work and do different things and what we enjoy. It's evolved in the sense that it's really like a team now where I know what she's not good at or what she doesn't like to do and can pick that up. She knows the same. Um, she can be there when I need her to be there, and I don't even have to ask. Vice versa.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, but yeah, but that's probably a pretty standard answer just in terms of like getting to know someone better, and spending more time with them. But that's probably how it's evolved thus far. And then I mean, we're living together, so we obviously weren't when we first started dating. So that's a big thing, and I've never lived with the fucking girl before. So, but yeah, it's been good. I have no complaints. It's more chill than living with a couple other guys that fucking because that's just a hectic situation. So yeah,
Right.
but
All
yeah,
right. I mean, yeah. Well, it's funny. Like you're right. Like as things evolve, like it's almost like you have that natural. I mean, you already had the chemistry to link up in the first place, but
yeah,
then you start to kind of like understand each other more deeply, right? And then you start to know like how you should behave around each other, or you can sense when something's wrong, or you can, and it's like, I think that's a beautiful thing. About a relationship and how it develops over time. But again,
Yeah,
you're like, what? How long in?
like a year and a bit.
Yeah, I mean, you're still very much in the early stages of the relationship, right? So, it's like, to me, a year in is like you're in the honeymoon stage still, and it's a great place to be in. Um, but okay, you could go.
Yeah, yeah. So my next question to you is, what's something you do to unwind or relieve stress that others might not know about or find unusual? Is there something you do that is a nice, like, relax, relieve stress?
um, Let me give that some thought. Let me just think about that for a second. There's definitely, what, to me, the thing that relieves the most stress for me, except that I think people do know this about me, is that uh, reading books for me is the thing that kind of
Oh,
like relieves the most amount of stress for me.
I thought you were going another
It
way.
does.
Okay, okay.
Just real quick, tell me what is the other way. I need to know right
I
away.
thought you were gonna say smoking weed.
Well, unfortunately, it doesn't really relieve stress for me anymore as much as it used to. Um, Kind of causes stress in a lot of instances because it triggers some bad habits. It's just not like something that sometimes it puts me in a different mind state, and it does relieve stress, and that's the thing. That's part of the reason why I I I always like to kind of like do it. But yeah, I think the book thing for me is what relieves stress, in just the sense that I always end up reading books after I'm like scrolling on TikTok or Instagram, and I'm just like, I got to get the fuck out of this, like, doom scroll thing. And then when I can read, it kind of like level sets me. Um, so I think it's not the best answer, just in the sense that, like, is it the most unexpected thing? Probably not. I think there's a lot of things that are like maybe going for walks
Yeah,
and exercise, and those things are kind of normal, right? But going for bike rides with my kids is one of my favorite things, and I feel like that definitely relieves stress for me. And then like little dumb things, like I've told you this before, and like you can see it right here. Like I have these little things that I pop, like because
yeah,
I have
yeah,
like a little bit of
that's what I like,
ADD.
fidget spinner, like, I know you have, like, some shit like that, which is why I was asking you that question. Yeah.
Yeah, I always kind of need some little thing that's like in my hand, or like even underneath my desk right now. I have a soccer ball that I'm just kind of like, kicking around, or like I'm an anxious guy in a lot of ways, and so a lot of times I am looking for little things to just kind of like relieve
Stimulate.
stress in a physical way. Yeah. But yeah, I know that was a long kind of
No,
like
no,
winding answer there.
no, I like that. I think we got, a good piece from that. Yeah, reading books is therapeutic for some, and some people would rather watch TV or do other things. So, yeah, it's personal preference.
This isn't my question, but I had a similar question, so I want you to answer that one too.
Yeah, for me, I actually think that the biggest thing that relieves stress from me is going fucking golfing, because
Hmm.
that's the one time in my life that I don't go on my phone. I put my notifications off. I am not, I'm with whoever's there, but I'm very in nature. I'm just focused on my game. I'm focused on having a good time. I'm out in the sun, the sunlight on me. Like, even just me, like, going outside and sitting in the sun is the one of my favorite things to do. And just like, I hate the winter, and I feel like I always get sick in the winter, and I just don't like being inside. So just, man, just like, even I was in Palm Springs last week, just being outside and sitting by the pool for a couple hours every day in the sun, I just feel so, zen and not stressed. But going golfing is mine.
That's not surprising. And by the way, the sun thing is a good little mention because every day when I'm in this office, I take that break and I'll go take like a lap around my office building, and it's started to get nice out. And man, the weather and the sun, it has such like an
100%.
impact on your mental well-being. It's crazy.
The
Here's my
ocean, man,
question, and
you
it's
said it, like, just seeing the ocean every day, your mental impact is insane.
yeah, yeah, there's something that's so obvious about being in nature. And you know what? I'll throw one other one out there. Is just like anything with animals. Like I I can watch animal videos, not like, the ones of like, tigers eating gazelles, but like I just anything with like dogs and
Yeah,
pandas or sloths and elephants, and just something about animals are so they're so pure,
I
and
it just
that relieves stress for me in some
yeah,
way.
it reminds me of one of, like, an earlier episode, my mom listened to it and was like, "Yo, Derek needs a dog."
I remember that.
Yeah,
And just a quick kind of a animal aside, like, and I posted this the other day on my Instagram stories, was like all of a sudden there's like I went out back in my backyard and there was like a nest above my
I
light
saw that.
fixture. Yeah, you saw that. And then like over the next couple of days, like it became like a bigger nest. And then like I needed to like see what was going on up there, so I took my phone and I took a picture, and it turned out there were these like beautiful like blue eggs in the nest. And so I looked it up, turned out there were robin's eggs. Then I kind of saw the bird came, and like he's just chilling or she's just chilling there.
Yeah,
And so I every day I've been going out there just to like
check
say
on
what up and just like make. The other day I had to run home and meet my handyman, and I just really quickly like peeked in the back. There was a fucking black cat just staring up at the nest, and
oh,
I was
shit.
like, I went out there. I was like, get the fuck, get the fuck out of here. But it made me nervous because it's like that cat is clearly like coming to my backyard when I'm not home to try and like, I don't know. And the eggs hatched the other day. Um, and like there's like some chicks there. And anyways, whatever. It's brought me so much joy just like having like, a little family there.
That's awesome. Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, animals is something that's probably the better answer of like what's something that would be unexpected. All right, here's my question for you, and it kind of is going the other way, which
okay.
is, what would you say is a bad habit that you have that you know is unhealthy for you, but you indulge in anyways, and tell us why.
The easy answer is drinking. Um,
Hmm.
the but I don't want to give that answer. I mean, everyone who's 23 drinks on the weekends and shit. Like, I'm not
True.
overindulging, but
True.
um, a bad habit of mine, I know that's bad for me, but I do anyway. The That's a good one. Um, huh. I I would say again, this is very fucking random. I pick my skin,
Cuticles.
yeah, my cuticles. I pick them all, and it's just like, and I'm like, I've been told not to do that before, and if I when I was a kid, go to the doctor. They're like, don't do that. I just like you're talking about, like, playing with shit. What I've been doing this whole time is I just fucking pick it. And again, it's not like a crazy thing, but to answer that question again, if I had prepared for this, I probably would have come up with something better. But yeah, picking my cuticles and fucking, I do it all the time. I should not do it, but it's like a not a tick, but yeah,
It's like you don't even realize it as you're doing it in a
yeah,
way, right? It's
exactly,
like unconscious in some ways. Because I have the same. Not
exactly.
I don't pick my cuticles, but I've bit my nails forever, and I think I've mentioned this before. I like pet, and like my kids, my oldest now like bites his nails, drives me
Yeah,
crazy, but it's like I'm the fucking reason why he does, because he
yeah,
probably just watched me and saw it. Um, okay, here's my question. Um, we always talk about morning routines, right?
yeah.
But what is an evening routine that has been beneficial to you or has brought you value in some way, um, that you would put people onto?
Orange light glasses. What I do is every night my routine is different. Like I said, I live with Jules. Depending on what we're getting into, what we're not getting into, my routine changes night by night. But the one thing that I'll do is if watching a show, if I'm on my phone, if I'm doing anything, I'll put on these orange light glasses every night, 30 minutes before I go to bed, and my quality of sleep has just fucking gone through the roof. So yeah, it's Rick Rubin talks about him. I think I brought him up
Yeah,
to you. It's
you
actually
have.
Rick Rubin has a brand that sells orange light glasses. I'm forgetting exactly what it's called, but we'll link it in the description after, whatever. Let's plug him a little bit. But yeah, my coupon code is Cal20 for 20% off. But yo, that would be fucking good, bro. We need an orange light glass to sponsor. But either way, yeah, putting on
Bro, wait, you have to first off, you gotta take a picture the next time you're wearing them to send to us so
I
that we
will.
can post the picture of you
I will.
wearing them. Does she think you look funny in those glasses? Does she ever, or is it just
So
like
the most hilarious thing is that I got her a pair too, and the only one who
you
looks
wear them together?
yeah, but the only one who looks funny is her because the shape of hers give like Elton John like even a little like they're like the round ones like orange. She looks
Like
super
the
hippie.
Benny and the Jets.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
exactly. Mine are more sleek. I wear them like I'll wear them to the airport and on planes and shit, and people are like, "Oh, this guy looks like." I get compliments all the. Oh, so, sick glasses, bro. Like, are those? So yeah, I don't think I look.
Because I didn't even listen to your answer. They help you sleep better. Is that what it
Yeah,
does?
yeah, that's my
Okay.
nighttime routine. I'll put them on, and their blue light glasses obviously deflect the blue light, but these ones, it's almost like how I imagine in my head is when you dim the lights, the mood kind of you get more chill. The mood, it's
Yeah.
like this setting in my mind that as soon as I put them on, everything just goes a bit darker and it's dim, and I'm like, okay, I got these on. Like, this is dim time. This is nighttime. I'm fucking getting relaxed now. When I'm looking at my screen, it's harder to see it, but my eyes are kind of getting tired and I'm getting relaxed. And yeah, man, it's been an unlock for me. It's been a game changer. I've had them for since the Super Bowl, so 3 months.
Expensive? Are they expensive or are they cheap?
I got them for free, but they're 150 bucks.
I mean, I could, as you're explaining it, like I could see how, like, like you're saying, like when you have the dimmer, obviously when I'm sitting downstairs, like on my couch late night, I dim the lights. It's
You
like
would
it's
love
easier to
them.
fall asleep that way. I fall right asleep. I'm
Yeah,
like I don't even mean to, but I also think about like the first. I was never really a big glasses guy. Young until I got this first pair of sunglasses that were like, I spent like money on. They were like Oliver Peoples. They were like a yellow, kind of orange tinted glasses because I just loved like kind of like what it made it look like. I felt like I was in the 1970s. Like it
yeah,
was just like
exactly.
a different
Yeah,
type
yeah,
of
yeah.
vibe. So I could see, I could just see how those would be, like how you would like them and how they can, contribute to your sleep and make sense. I have to look into those.
I'll get you a coupon code.
Okay.
We'll get you a deal. We'll get you.
Cal
I swear
20.
to God. I swear to God, we'll get you a deal. And I think that's going to be the first sponsorship I work on. Is a Orange Light Glasses brand who wants to sponsor this podcast. We'll put the links all below, but that's going to be the first sponsorship we get. Orange Light
Do
Glasses.
it. Clip it. Clip it. Clip
Perfect.
it. Okay.
My question to you is on a completely different note, but I got to know this. This was something I was super curious about. If you were to go back and rewatch any show like that you've already watched from start to finish because it was that good, what show would it be?
And you're talking about a show that I don't like, one that I don't watch anymore, like that I watched and that was it. And like,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. Um,
Could have been when you were a kid, could have been more recent, could have been Like your answer
That
could
was
be
cool.
SpongeBob if you want it to be, but I'm just saying like a show that you
Well,
have to
the
watch.
first thought that popped into my mind was The Office, but it's like I still watch it, so it's not, I don't think that's the right answer. And then the second thought that kind of popped into my mind was Game of Thrones, um,
Okay.
just because of like how much of an epic
Yeah.
show that was, and also just I know that if I went back and watched it, I'd be like, it'd be like watching it all over again
Yeah, yeah,
without
yeah.
knowing about it because there'd be things that I've completely forgotten about.
That's
Um,
what I was looking for.
so yeah, I think Game of Thrones is probably the one. And to be honest, it feels like there's a void in my life because there hasn't been a show like that since then. Like I'm of the opinion that there's a shit ton of options now on television with all the different channels and
Yeah,
whatever, but there's nothing, but like that television just isn't as good as it once was. And I don't know if that's because it was more concentrated, and I don't know if it's now more spread, and just because of that it's like a lack of talent. And yeah, so
I would say
I
too,
think
just
that's the one that I would say.
that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. I would say too, the reason for the lack of, you're saying television was better back in the day. It's also because they're having to compete with like social media, with short form stuff, with that, and everyone's attention span is so fucking limited nowadays because of all the stimulants in our life that it's one of those things where, you know, longer movies don't do well because no one can fucking sit through a 2 hour movie anymore, or like, shows that were coming out once a week, no one can keep up with that. And so yeah, you've got your diehards, but I just think just our attention spans now, we're compete like the TV production companies are competing with so many other things that yeah, it's not. I agree, it's not as good.
It's a valid point. I mean, now everybody consumes social content, right? And it's all like snackable, short form content that perhaps it has changed the way, people consume long form stuff, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
movies but that being said, like, that's my favorite type of content. I like long form podcasts. I like documentaries. I like, um, like, like HBO style, like hour long shows. That to me is like the best form of storytelling. And, Game of Thrones was one of those shows that to me was just like so revolutionary in, in how they kind of approach what would you even call that genre, like fantasy, and
I would call it
like,
fantasy.
yeah, and not like, no spoilers, but the fact that like it just felt like it was one of those first shows where it was just like, oh, this is the person that you love, and this is like the main star. We're gonna kill him. And
Yeah,
then like, oh, you love this person too, we'll kill them too. And like
yeah,
you'll learn to like the other people, and they'll become
yeah.
love that. All right, I think we're almost coming up on time. I think I have two more questions. Okay.
Let's yeah, I think I started, so you do two, like you say one, I'll say my last one, then you say one more and we'll be done. So you get two more, I'll go one more.
Okay.
Asking you.
And by the way, as you know, I have so many fucking questions that like
We
I'm
can
now
do this
trying to
again.
find like
Yeah.
we definitely will. Yes, we will. Okay. Um okay. Here's my first question. What is a topic or subject that you don't currently know much about, but that you would like to learn to either enhance your career or just your personal development, or you're just naturally curious about?
The thing that I don't know as much as I want to know about, and because I actually think that it's going to be the next step in my career, I've kind of had this enlightening moment over the last couple months. I want to dive into venture capital. So all things, how angel rounds go, what terms
Hmm.
look like, different companies and strategies, what to look for. That's one thing that like I really want to dive in and learn for professionally to, and I'll maybe give a two part. Um, personally, I think that I want to. continue to honestly, man, whether I'm gonna do it or not is another question, but language, just like the ability to be able to go places and speak the language in some sort of fashion,
Yeah,
that always fascinates me personally. But yeah,
yeah.
professionally, like my answer to you is venture capital. I'm
That
curious.
doesn't surprise me.
Really, really?
Well, it doesn't surprise me because you're surrounded by a lot of people that have like experience in that way, and it kind of touches a lot of different, um, I would say like things that you are naturally interested in, like with
Yeah,
investing and,
like yeah,
you know, company building
yeah,
and you know,
startups.
entrepreneur, yeah, being an entrepreneur. So, um, I didn't think you were going to say that, but I'm not
What
surprised that you said
what
that.
did you have something that you thought I was gonna say?
No, I actually had no idea what you were gonna say,
Okay.
but
What?
if I really thought about it, maybe I could have thought that was what you were gonna, you know, end up with.
Just what about you?
What do I want to learn more about? I think, you know, honestly, I'm definitely similar in that like I have a lot of interest in personal finance now more so than I did in the past, and just things of like that nature. Like I want to learn more about real estate. I want to learn more about you know, things that have to do with accumulating wealth and all those things, right?
Yeah,
But the other thing that I would say is like I've gone down this path now where I want to learn more about psychology, like human psychology.
and you
And
reading
those
books on it, right? Like, yeah,
Yeah, and I think that's why like I've naturally kind of gravitated to a lot of these Robert Greene books of just like human behavior and like, you know, influence and you know, even like um if I look at the last kind of like 20 books I've read, so many of them are like the psychology of money or like what was that one that I read? I forgot, where it was all about like how it was something about persuasion. It was the Robert Cialdini book, influence, I think. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm really into human psychology because I just I like understanding why people behave the way that they do.
But
And yeah,
that all ties back into helping you make more informed I mean, we go back to VC, that allows you to make more informed investment decisions. If you can understand human psychology and where the world's going, I think just being able to like spot trends before they happen and see how people behave and, yeah, it's benefits are, extreme in any walk of life. So, yeah,
I'll say one last quick one is also like, and I know this is also like a whatever answer, but I've gotten really into it and I've really started to kind of like have a turning point in realizing the complete like value of it as it relates to me is AI, just because
yeah,
I had an epiphany the other day of just like I think you know, I'm kind of like a creative director in a lot of ways, and I've been using ChatGPT a lot, and it dawned on me basically that like, look, I think there's always going to be a need for graphic designers and copywriters to some extent, but those are the types of resources that I've always needed in order to bring my vision
yes,
to life.
yeah,
And I think there is going to be a huge value on creative AI and specifically creative directors that are really good at being able to prompt, um, you know, a chat GPT or whatever AI in order to get the thing that it needs and then be able to modify it. Like I've just I've thought back to a lot of instances in which I was like, oh my God, if I had this thing 2 years ago at the
yeah,
thing that I was doing, this would have been like, this would have saved me so much time and energy. So
yeah. No, that's a valid answer. I agree. Me too. My last question to you for this episode is, and it's a tough one. You're turning 40 this year, so I'm curious, and I'm putting you on the spot. Aside from family, what is the most important thing in your life to you right now?
aside from family,
Yeah,
Aside from family, I would say the most important thing in my life right now is, and I feel like this could be kind of like a cheating answer, but I'll tell you why I say this, is health. Okay.
I thought you were about to
I
say
think it's a
friends. I think
friend.
aside from family, friends. Yeah,
It's it's health, and it's physical health and it's mental health, and obviously those and emotional health and all those things kind of go together. I just it's something that really consumes me and something I think about a lot, um, just in a lot of different ways. I would say, like, you know, my father passing away from cancer kind of early, not like super early, but when he was 70 years old, um, kind of has changed how I think about things. And it's really made me kind of like reflect a lot on like the choices that I make. And I I have a lot of inner conflict about just like my self control, because I there's a lot of times where I just feel like I do things and I know that it's not right for me, but I do them anyways.
yeah,
And so I've just I'm constantly having this battle about my physical health and doing the things that I need to be healthy so that I can live a long life, about my mental health, because obviously though that affects my physical health, and trying to make sure that I'm like staying positive and I can control my thoughts and I'm not letting my thoughts just like run rampant. And then my emotional health of just like, especially when I'm going through a tough time, of just, like trying to make sure that when I get up, I don't get too up, and when I get down, I don't
yeah.
get too down, because I have a tendency to go to dark places sometimes, or just get really down and get in a rut. And so
You're
I think,
Ikigai.
yeah, my ikigai. I guess I feel like health is the one
Oh,
that I think about, and I also, and maybe purpose is the other one, is that I would say, and just like, I mean, look, everybody's always talking about like what's the meaning of life and blah blah blah, and these big overarching questions, and I think everybody just wants to know, like, why am I here? What is the point of me being here? And I'll I'll come to, my office, and like I'm looking right now at my OneNote, and it says, get back to making shit and being creative. Stop chasing, start making, like, and I have these little fucking notes that you're more powerful than you think you are. Act accordingly, and like do what these little fucking reminders to myself about just like, stop getting caught up in all of this fucking nonsense, and like remember what you're fucking here to do, which is like to shine a light to like that you have this like
man.
unique kind of perspective. You have these certain like special qualities about yourself, like, you have people that love you, you have people that think very highly of you. Obviously there are people that probably think the opposite way about me, but um I'm always constantly just thinking about like, what am I here to do, like, and obviously when I take the step back, a lot of it goes back to family and just like being there for my kids, and being like a good inspiration for them, and being a good husband to my wife and all those things. But obviously in the situation I'm in right now, I'm also thinking about just kind of like my craft and like my career, and what's the thing that's going to be you know fulfilling, to
Yeah,
me, and let me leave kind of like make an impact and have some sort of legacy. I don't know. So long winded. There's a lot of things, but I guess purpose and health are two things that kind of come to mind outside of family.
cool, man. Yeah, no, I love that. You got one more question?
Yeah, I got this is my last one, and it's a little bit more lighthearted, but put our audience onto something specifically Canadian that brings you value, that us Yankees over here in the States might not know about.
Specifically Canadian. My mind always goes to food first. I'm trying to think what else is specifically Canadian that you wouldn't have over there. That I mean, the all dress. chips, or you guys have that shit though.
I mean, at this point, yeah, they've come over here. We have it to some extent.
Um,
Doesn't always have to be food though, right? Like, what
I
is
know.
there anything cultural?
That's the thing. I mean, that's the funny thing about Canada is we were at Stagecoach a couple weekends ago, and every singer who came on was very patriotic, and they would like sing. They would pull out an American flag and like sing the fucking national anthem and talk about Eagles and all that shit. Canada, bro, Canada doesn't have much culture. I will say it's just a mixing, blending pot of things. You know, the if I had to put you on to something Canadian, we talked about, the ocean and the way that nature makes you feel and shit. The
Mhm.
one thing that is one of the most beautiful places in the world that is Canadian, that everyone needs to go to once in their life, that will bring you that feeling, excuse me, that
Bless you.
we talked about earlier, is you have to go to Banff. Banff National Park, Lake Louise, in the mountains. Whether you're a winter guy and you love a winter guy or gal and you love skiing or just being out in the winter, or you want to go there in summer and love just hiking and being outdoors, Banff is the best thing that Canada has to offer, in my opinion, from a on the ground. And so, yeah, you want that feeling. You want to experience the Rocky Mountains like no other. Nature, beauty, Banff National Park.
That's a good one. Where is that?
It's in Alberta. It's you'd fly into Calgary. It's
Mhm.
you'd fly into Calgary, and it's an hour and a half drive from Calgary.
Can I get into Canada these days or what as an American? Is
You
it like
you
is there some sort of like, restriction?
no, you can get in, no restriction,
Maybe I'll go there this summer because that does sound very delightful
bro.
and right up my alley.
You like have we've never talked about Banff before?
I don't think so.
Look up after this, because after this, look up like photos of, like Lake Louise. Look up photos of Banff, the town. Bro, you will be fucking like you will look at it and be like, this is not real. Like, there's no way this is real. And then you'll go there and you'll be like, holy fuck, this is real. Yeah, if you come to Banff, I'll meet you out. Banff is a 4 hour drive from Edmonton. Spend a lot of time in Calgary in the summer. Definitely come to Banff this summer. That'd be
I'm just going to be honest. Is it embarrassing that I've never even heard of Banff? How do you spell Banff?
Banff. I
Banff.
I'm surprised you never heard of Banff, but look, like Banff, fucking amazing, bro. So beautiful. That is what I'll leave everyone with. Yeah, actually, the fact that you've never heard of it, I hope not that we get so many listeners, but I hope someone else who's listening to this has never heard of Banff and is inspired to go there.
I enjoyed this format, and I enjoyed just kind of like the back and forth banter. So let's definitely do this again, and let's also do it with guests. And yeah, I think 21 episodes, not too bad, not too shabby.
No, we're rolling. 21. Appreciate everyone. Derek, it's been real. Enjoy the weekend. Talk soon.
You too, bro. Take care.
Peace. Peace. Thank you for tuning into the Put On Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and don't forget to follow us on social at the Put On Pod.